Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to March's edition of Power Hug. Apologize for the invite saying April's edition, but March's edition of Power Hug. For those of you that might be the first time visiting for the session, this is our Power Platform Healthcare and Life Sciences user group. We typically meet on every fourth Thursday of each month. We try to go by that, but sometimes the schedules don't quite align, and so we need to make an accommodation, and kind of why we're seeing it today here on a Friday. So welcome all. Again, we typically share stories for Power Platform in healthcare and life sciences. These are sessions that are by the people for the people, and we like to share those ideas that you're all using Power Platform in your organizations and how you're using it. So if you have any additional user stories that maybe you'd like to share with us, we're always open to having you speak at our future events. Feel free to reach out to myself or Liz or Scott. We have contact information there on the slide showing how to access us through either YouTube or on LinkedIn. And feel free to reach out and say, hey, I've got an idea or a use case that we'd like to share, and we'd like to get you scheduled. So with that, let me dive in a little bit to our upcoming events, and then I'll hand off to Liz to go through some additional events. So you're aware, in April, we have the CHOP coming to present on their Power Platform and how it enables, I guess, automation and efficiencies across their recruitment process, and reading through and studying recruitment emails in essence of around 1 million clinical study recruitment emails each year, and tracking those key engagements. So they've done that through the use of Power Platform, and one of our partners, Latitude, helping them do that inside the organization. And then we also have another event at the end of May where we're actually going to bring another GBB from within Microsoft to talk about automation and reimagining that spectrum in the context of using AI and agents and automations inside your organization. So Amber Weiss will be joining us for that at the end of May. So mark your calendars for both. They're both going to be great sessions on how we use Power Platform inside of organizations to automate and streamline processes. And with that, I'll hand it off to Liz.
Thank you, Randall. And although we love this community and we keep engaged on a virtual format, we do want to share with you events that you can put on your calendar to interact with the Microsoft team in person at these events. First up is a couple of events that are taking place here across the US in different locations to give everybody a chance to connect with us in person. The AI Apps and Agents Tours brings Power Platform product leaders and subject matter experts that are going to engage with the audience to share how the product is evolving and give you hands-on experience on how you can use it in your organization. It is a great in-person event. Highly recommend it for those of you that want to engage with our teams. You can register at aka.ms/AI Apps Tour. If we go to the next slide, Randall, we have another set of events. These events are focused more broadly on the transformation of your organization into an AI-first firm. Whereas the previous events are focused on the Power Platform, this event is really meant to help you engage with our corporate leaders or Microsoft leaders to show how we are helping organizations apply AI to different areas of their business. These are highly attended and large events that are taking place. There's 2 left in the US, one in Atlanta on April 29th, and the second in Houston, Texas on May 28th. So if you are close to either of those 2 locations, highly recommended that you take advantage of participating. If we go to the next slide, this one is another series that is a virtual series put together by our PowerCat team, our co-pilot acceleration team, and it is focused on enabling our customers and our partners to better understand how to apply AI to their organizations using different frameworks. Here are the next 3 events that they have coming up. The first one is helping you to understand different frameworks for agent patterns and choosing the right option for your organization, whether it's orchestrated, deterministic, or a hybrid of the 2. Later on in April, they're also going to discuss business value of AI agents, how you can calculate ROI, impact using real world scenarios so that you can see different scenarios and walk through each one of them and get a better understanding. And the last one is building enterprise-grade agents with our cloud tools, more of a hardware. How do you use our hardware to be able to scale what you can do with agents across our organization? All the sessions take place on Wednesdays in the afternoon, and they are recorded, and you can access them after they end. Highly recommend that you attend these. These are very popular with our community. And that's it for our events. I am excited to welcome Jocelyn Panchal. She is a technical subject matter expert here at Microsoft. She has been engaged and involved previously as a senior product manager in the engineering team in helping to release Agent 365, the Power Platform managed platform, as well as supported the integration of Purview with Copilot Studio. So she brings a wealth of security knowledge and governance knowledge that she has kindly agreed to share with us in our community today. As Jocelyn goes through her presentation, please continue to funnel your questions in the Q&A pane, and we will answer it as we go. We will also do a Q&A at the end of the session. And with that, Jocelyn, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thank you. What an intro. I really appreciate that. Okay, can everybody see my screen? Awesome. Hi, everybody. It's so nice to meet you all. Today, I am going to be talking to you about Agent 365, which is indeed the hot topic that everybody wants to know about. So, when we start off, we just have to understand that agents are going to unlock a lot of capacity at your organization, right? And we have this pressure being driven by our leadership to adopt AI. But at the same time, we also have to make sure that we have balance. Even here at Microsoft, we have our own internal tool that we call our Connect. It's basically our twice-a-year report card. And we have to go and report on how we are using AI to be able to maximize our own potential. So we understand the pressures that all of the employees across so many industries, including HLS, are under in order to make sure that they are maximizing their efficiency by leveraging agents. And these agents, they are getting more and more actionable and autonomous. They are no longer experimental, but they are already operational across organizations and growing. They're not just going to be operating like simple scripts or simple workflow automations, but rather they are going to be functioning more so along the lines of autonomous digital teammates. They learn, they adapt, and they're going to independently execute complex tasks. And I'm sure that you guys have seen this marketing slide, but we have that 1.3 billion expected number of AI agents in the next couple of years here. But with that, we obviously have some concerns, right? So trust is at the center. In a lot of organizations, we see this pull between our AI innovation teams and our security teams while we're wanting to go ahead and promote this usage and adoption of AI, making sure that we're balancing at the same time by ensuring best practices from the security perspective. Agents are going to need the same access that employees do, but without proper controls, the trust is going to erode. And visibility gaps are going to leave our admins blind into what our agents are doing, how they're operating, and permissions are going to sprawl unchecked. Lifecycle ownership is going to remain unclear, and the same problems that we had with apps with regards to orphaned resources are going to remain, but this time the threats can be even bigger. The threats can be even bigger because what agents can do is take a vulnerability and run faster with it than any human or application ever could. So, at the center of successful agentic adoption and deployment is going to be trust. And building trust is going to require solving all of these challenges by providing visibility, control, and governance. And that brings us into what is Agent 365, right? Agent 365 is what we call the control plane for agents. It's a unified platform that's going to bring observability, governance, and security to enterprise-ready agentic fleets. For those of you who may have met me in an internal event or perhaps in a customer meeting, there's two more things that I typically say about Agent 365, just to tell. Number one, Agent 365 isn't going to operate like a single pane of glass. We know that our admins have a hard enough job being able to manage all of the existing resources and people, so what we didn't want to do was to go ahead and create more homework for them. We didn't want to create a brand new Agent 365 portal to send them to, for them to have to go and learn how to manage agents there. Rather, we wanted to integrate Agent 365 experiences, meeting our admins in the portals where they're already spending their day, which is what I'm going to show you guys today. And number two, we wanted Agent 365 to be completely agent agnostic. What do we mean by that? Well, in my opinion, I think Microsoft is the best for a number of reasons, but one of my favorite reasons is that we really empower folks to innovate however they think is best. And if that means building agents with Copilot Studio or Microsoft Foundry, that's awesome. But if that means experimenting with other third-party agent orchestrators as well, we support you. And we want to make sure that those agents remain as protected and secured as possible via Agent 365. So with that, Agent 365 is going to give us a bunch of different things. The 5 main pillars span registry, access control, visualization, interoperability, and security. By registry, what we want to understand is a full count of the number of agents that exist across our organization, right? How many are they, and what are they doing? Second, access control. We always want to have a zero trust, least privilege access mentality when thinking about our agents. Why, yes, they can indeed operate on our behalf for sure, but they don't necessarily need all of the same permissions that we do. So how do we make sure that we operate from a zero trust perspective? Number 3, visualization. Yes, we see the count of agents and what they're doing, but how do we actually go beyond that and see what they're interacting with, who else they're interacting with, other users, other agents, and how they're doing? 4th is interoperability. This really goes into the point about ensuring that our agents are indeed actionable, being able to equip them with the tools they need to indeed operate on the assigned tasks, whether that's with APIs, connectors, MCPs, however. And 5th, of course, making sure that we have security along each step of the way. Security is a layered approach, and there are many directions of data flow that we have to always make sure that we are considering. And with that, Agent 365 isn't just a vision, it's a growing ecosystem that's already operating fast. So you heard me say earlier that we want to be completely agent agnostic. Partners and customers are already shipping on Agent 365 today across a range of industries and use cases, including some of the ones that you can see here. So moving forward, some of these names that you see as part of our Agent 365 ecosystem are going to light up in our management platforms with inherent value. We also have a list of Microsoft apps and capabilities with enterprise-grade security and governance built in. So these are some of our out-of-the-box MCPs that are going to be able to equip our agents, including the third-party ones, with the tools that they need to operate. So now from a high-level view, let's look at some of the key components here. Agent 365's approach is to continue leveraging the same familiar suite and capabilities that our admins are already using for user and resource management, right? So what that means is our admins are going to have Agent 365 capabilities embedded across Entra, Purview, Defender, and the Microsoft Admin Center. But with that, we also have this awesome pro dev with Agent 365 Observability SDK, as we call it. When equipped with this SDK, your developers are able to onboard third-party agents that were perhaps not part of our agent showcase that I just showed earlier, but were perhaps coming from other orchestrators or custom tooling. With that SDK, they're able to go ahead and hook up their agents into the Agent 365 ecosystem, so your admins get the exact same visibility that they would have of a first-party built agent, which is really awesome because we wanted to make sure that all agents were created equal from an observability and security perspective. So now that you've seen what Agent 365 is and why it matters, we have to shift gears and understand that there are a lot of disparate admin personas involved. So Agent 365 is going to empower us to manage agents with the same confidence that we already expect for managing our users and resources. If we dive in, we can start with observability because trust is going to start with visibility, and you can't trust agents that you can't see. So IT admins need to verify task completion, and security needs to have assurance that data is protected, and business leaders need to measure business impact and ROI on their AI investments. And any agent built with the SDK, remember, no matter what platform, is going to provide observability data that surfaces in the tools that we're already using. So with Agent 365 observability, we're going to get tailored views and metrics to respond to everyone's needs, all of these disparate admins. And agents are going to stop being black boxes and start behaving like accountable identities, visible, secure, and indeed scalable. So with that, the first demo that I wanted to show you guys is in our Microsoft Admin Center. I'm going to go ahead and pull open a tab here. And here we can see our new, is it visible, Liz? All good?
Yes, I can see it. Yep.
Okay, lovely. So here we are able to see our agent overview page in the Microsoft 365 Admin Center, or what we call MAC. Let me go ahead and actually give me 1 second.
Yeah, this is a real treat to be able to see this live. So definitely
Absolutely.
excited
I
for
just
it.
want to make sure that I am logged into all of the right tenants behind the scene and do all of the right MFA. Okay, awesome. So here we are back in the Agent 365 overview page. And what we have here to start off with is our full registry. So here we can see all of the list of agents that we have across our tenant, including ones that were indeed built in Foundry and Copilot Studio, as well as some that were indeed built by third-party services, Manus, ServiceNow, Workday, for example. Remember here, the Microsoft 365 admin, they're not necessarily going to be the security admins proper. But what we want to go ahead and ensure is a better relationship between our disparate admins. So what we actually do is we're able to pull information from the other 3 security admin centers and surface them here as agent risks. So here, for example, this comms agent, we can actually see that there are 2 security risks going on. When we click deeper, we're able to see that there was indeed an Entra error. So as the Mac admin, I'm not necessarily going to have the privileges or permissions to actually act on this, but what I can do is I do have the rights and permissions to temporarily pause or block this agent in order to make sure that any issues do not indeed propagate any further. As you can see, I also do have a lot of metrics about usage, the number of active users, total sessions, as well as things like exception rate, so I can know if this thing is failing or it's having any problems. If we also want to go further, we have this awesome map view. And this map view is a great way for us to be able to visually see which agents are interacting with each other while still sorting by the original ecosystem that they came from. Copilot Studio versus Foundry versus Bedrock versus Google, for example. And this high level view is really important because before we identified that this comms agent had an issue, but here we can also see what other agents may have been impacted by the fact that there was a problem there, in case we need to dive deeper and investigate if they're all doing okay as well. When we click on the individual agents, if I can click into the individual agent, let me just zoom in real quick. What we're able to see as well is things like the activity, total exceptions, list of users that are interacting with it. We also can see things like the actual permissions on an API basis, as well as some security and compliance things that were installed by the other admins, the data and tools that this thing has access to, whether it's on a whole API basis or a specific endpoint basis, and just some overview information, which is all super helpful for us. But you might tell me like, hey, Jocelyn, this isn't enough. I need more granular. And I would tell you to hold on until we get to purview. Other things that I want us to be made aware of. In Agent 365, we have the concept of what we call a blueprint. A blueprint is basically a template or a wireframe of an agent. Say I make this really awesome Jocelyn helper agent. It's fantastic. It helps me with my emails and answers my team's messages and has access to one of my SharePoint sites. I would love for Liz to be able to take advantage of an agent like this as well without having to spend time making it, even though it shouldn't take much time. So what I can do is, as a developer, I can leverage one of our Agent 365 CLIs to propose submitting my agent to become a template, or a blueprint is what we call it. Once we are able to turn that agent into a blueprint, it gets stripped down so that we know, can this agent still interact with SharePoint? Yes or no? Can it interact with Teams? Yes or no? But the actual specific endpoints are stripped, so it's not just going to be Jocelyn SharePoint. The SharePoint site will be configured on a per agent basis. So what happens from there? once I go and submit that agent to become a blueprint, my Mac admin is able to go ahead and see it here in requests. So here are some agents that were published as a request, and before I can actually go ahead and publish it, I'm able to choose a lot of things. First of all, who actually is going to get their own instance of a Jocelyn helper agent? Is it all users? Is it just some security groups? And is it going to come pre-installed, yes or no? So I can say all just for sake of example. The next thing is we're able to go ahead and review the permissions that this agent is able to act on. Again, the specific knowledge sources and things like that are going to curtail on an endpoint level to the owner, but like, can it, read? Can it send Teams messages? Things like that. So we can accept the permissions. The other thing that we skipped over accidentally is, next once, this awesome thing that we call a policy template. With policy templates, it really helps us to ensure that we have a fantastic secure by default stance, where we're able to take policies made by the other security admins and ensure that we are going to be able to apply them to our incoming approved agents at scale. So really a great way to make sure that we're always remaining secure by default. Once I go ahead and accept these things and go ahead and say, yes, we're going to publish this blueprint, then Liz can go into her Teams and be able to get her own Liz instance of a Jocelyn helper agent that's going to make her morning better, just like it did for me, but based upon her data instead. Let's see, I think that is most of the awesome things that we have here in the Microsoft Admin Center. We can also see things like agents that are perhaps orphaned, as well as agents that are blocked. And as well as some of those tools and MCP servers that I showed you guys on the slide earlier, and be able to configure them as well. So let me skip ahead in my slides, because I also had recorded versions of it, but I prefer to show you guys it live if I can. Okay. A comment, Liz, or all good?
No, oh good. I mean, I like
Okay.
this. I'm reading it. I was like, this is great. This is what we typically get questions about. So
Lovely.
great. Yes.
So just to recap, right? From visibility to response to prevention, Agent 365 observability is going to go ahead and translate into control with familiar tools like the Microsoft Admin Center, where your admins already are. And with the high-level visibility of the agent inventory and the agent map views and the easy filters, we can see how we can really quickly be able to take action on permissions and tools enablement in order to be able to add new agents into our ecosystem without it feeling like unregulated sprawl. So Mac is going to be that centralized place for AI admins to be able to manage AI solutions across their enterprise. But that's not the security part yet, right? Because visibility and governance are crucial, but it's only going to work if your data is protected. And one thing I say a lot to the customers I work with is your agents cannot get more secure than the ground layer data that they are built upon. But what they can do is run faster with any vulnerability, faster than a human or an app ever could. So in these next sections, we're going to go ahead and focus more so on the security and operations side of things. It's going to span sensitive data protection and compliance to threat detection and defense to agent sprawl mitigation and access management from the Entra side of things. So the first thing we'll start off with is Microsoft Purview. And oftentimes I'll tell my customers that I think that they really need to get their Purview up and running before they open the gates to actually having widespread enterprise-wide agentic adoption, because the capabilities that we have in Microsoft Purview really makes it easy to ensure that our agents are secure from a foundational standpoint. So now that agents can read and summarize and share information faster than any human can, they're also going to go ahead and interact with people. They're going to draft emails and make decisions, and we need to safeguard these interactions. So Purview is going to come in to ensure that agents aren't going to expose any sensitive information. They're going to give us the complete data protection for agents, and with DSPM for AI, or Data Security Posture Management for AI, security admins are going to be able to really easily monitor for agent risk or insider risk. With protection policies and labels, sensitive data can be protected from misuse of agents. And of course, you always have the ample visibility through the really comprehensive audit logs and policies to make sure that compliance is indeed going to be maintained. So again, Purview is going to be operating in all directions of data flow, making sure that people do not have access to things they shouldn't have access to, but even if they do have access to something, can they take a piece of information and leave with it? Okay. And Purview's reach is really, really, really far encompassing and really, again, at that ground layer. So the capabilities really span first-party products and have even extended into some third-party platforms as well. And data classifications and labels are going to flow as data is passed across platforms in agentic scenarios, and audit trails are going to be maintained along each step of the way. So if you have a Word document that's labeled, if that Word document is indeed a knowledge source of an agent, that label is going to flow through that agent and end up being respected in the response dependent on who the end user is. Let me pull some things up over here. Okay, let me zoom in slightly. Does this look okay?
Looks good.
It's a little bit hard to read. Can you zoom it in maybe like one or two more times?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Actually, you know what? I might show one slide before I jump into this part of the demo. Okay, so let's show some Purview stuff, right? This one is pre-recorded because, as you guys know, logs are really hard to query in real time. So this is our Activity Explorer page here in Purview, which is one of the key parts of the data security posture management for AI. And at the top, we have this bar chart view that has a lot of information like daily metrics on things like AI interactions and the use of sensitive information. The telemetry is super easy to filter, and it's also way more granular than what we get in Mac. So the detail table below is going to actually go and articulate things like potential insider risk incidents with the required information that we need to investigate further, including the user, the time. All of these things are even going to be as broken down as a per prompt basis. For example, this one, we can actually see that same comms agent that I showed you guys earlier, and we can see a risky user interaction has taken place where somebody was attempting to evade RAI by asking for information about a meeting they weren't invited to, and the prompt was indeed filtered out and blocked. For here, and maybe I can show you part of this guy live. I'll show you part of this guy live, and then I'll jump back over here as well, just to show you guys one step further. So this view, this is PPAC. This view is basically the equivalent of that registry page that we saw in Mac, but this time curtailed more so to our security admin's point of view. So while we have that full list of agents, which is really awesome, what we also do have is rather this view that's centered less so on ROI and usage, and more so centered on like, is there any risks going on? Is there things like sensitive information are being shared or unethical interactions or exfiltration going on? So one thing that we can do is always go and look on a per agent basis and get more information specifically for this agent. And one thing that we are looking to do is to really get proactive and reactive both. So with that, Purview is working on recommendations that we have so that we could actually guide our admins into being able to be better admins. For any people here, obviously, that are familiar with the Power Platform Admin Center, this was a thing we really invested in with Security Hub, being able to provide recommendations and guidance for our Power admins to be able to do better. So Purview is going to be doing the same thing with their recommendations as well as their objectives here as well to show you, hey, you have 234 files at risk. Let's go ahead and prevent exfiltration. You have some sensitive data that we are not labeling. Let's go ahead and take care of that, right? But if I pop back over to my PowerPoint just to show you guys a little bit from like the art of the possible, what's the vision vibes, I'm gonna click ahead over here to show you guys something that we're striving towards. Besides just giving recommendations, we also want to be able to give you a better holistic view of any risk on a per agent basis. And while we already have all of this information available in audit logs, it's not really super consumable from like a visual standpoint, right? Sure, you can go and read through audit logs, but how can we make it easier? So we're working on this view risky activities button. And when eventually we come out with this, when you click here, you're actually going to be able to get this super awesome graphical view of how data was spread as a result of an insecure agent. So in this example, this agent had access to 402 unlabeled sensitive files. It wasn't the agent's fault, it was the knowledge source it was given. But what Purview was able to know is that these files contain sensitive information like credit card numbers, like social security card numbers, things like that. And with that, it was able to trace just how far the agent took that information without realizing it was sensitive and who it spread it to. So this is a list of people that that information got to, both people and agents now. So if we remember our agent map view that we had earlier, some of these agents and things would actually show up over here as places where vulnerabilities could have spread to. So now when we pop back over here, oopsies, wrong one. If we pop back over here, what we're able to then see is, hey, Purview isn't going to leave you hanging like that. And go ahead and click on Take Action, which will be really awesome. And it'll show you how you can actually take advantage of the right policies, auto-labeling policies, and DLP policies to make sure something like that doesn't happen again. And once you go ahead and take action, this is how it's going to look afterwards with the trend of how much worse it could have gotten versus how much better we can get if we go ahead and remediate soon. So yeah, this is why Purview is such a foundational thing for ensuring our responsible data governance for AI, right? It's going to give us the visibility, and it's going to span really granular deep dives all the way to like scalable high-level views, giving us all the information that we require for compliance standards. And security admins are going to be able to have a good picture of all of the agentic activity in their organization. So all of these rich insights on like potential risks, like oversharing of sensitive information and data sprawl, is going to turn actionable, right? It's not just thanks for telling me. It's going to be, okay, now what can we do? So with that, we can go ahead and really easily deploy policies to mitigate issues. So Purview is really the comprehensive solution for ensuring safe agentic adoption. And the next part.
That's so critical.
Yeah,
in,
yeah,
in these
absolutely.
in regulated industries like healthcare and life sciences. So it's great to see that.
100%. It's super important. The next part of the many security layers that we have is Defender, right? Do you guys want to hear a joke about Defender? I have a joke.
Go for it. Go for it.
Okay, so here's my joke about Defender. Sometimes when I'm talking to a non-security audience, they'll go and tell me, Jocelyn, like, what actually is XPIA, right? XPIA, as we know, stands for cross-prompt injection attacks, and it's basically when you try to get an response out of an agent without having a human sense a malicious question that you embedded. And one of the examples of this are when folks try and actually type to an agent using white text so it doesn't appear visible to the human, but the agent actually saw it. So sometimes when I'm asked this question, I ask my customers or the people I'm chatting with, have you ever seen the movie National Treasure with Nick Cage? And usually they're like, yeah, we've seen that movie. It's like a famous movie about a guy who's like trying to steal the Declaration of Independence for the sake of finding a national treasure. And I'm like, do you remember that scene where there's like a hidden message on the back of the Declaration of Independence and Nick Cage doesn't know about it until he rubs lemon juice all over the back of the Declaration of Independence? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, that's what XPIA is.
It's lemon juice in the back.
Yeah, that's XPIA. But anyways, that's what Defender is for, to help you. Defender will go ahead and help you find the hidden message on the back of the Declaration of Independence. Okay, so Defender is really our threat detection and prevention software, right? It's going to really deliver a full life cycle of protection to discover vulnerabilities like secret messages on the back of the Declaration of Independence, as well as things like impossible travel activity, XPIA, and it's going to go ahead and detect these things with attack path analysis. It'll help you to go and perform these investigations and respond to these threats, also proactively protecting by blocking risky agents and remediating vulnerabilities before exploitation happens. So with Defender, security teams are able to gain visibility and threat intelligence and controls that they need in order to confidently scale AI. So show you guys what it looks like here. I have a tenant up, but it's not pretty. So I want to show you guys a prettier one. So this is Defender, and it's really awesome because you have all of these gazillions of tiles, as you can see, that you can really curtail to what your organization needs. This one isn't set up nicely, so I'm not going to stick to this one in the demo, but what you can see is you can actually go ahead and like remove these or curtail each of these tiles to whatever you guys deem as top of mind. If you pop over here in incidents, we're actually able to see all of the different types of threats and vulnerabilities that we have faced across our tenant. Let me zoom in a little. So we can see things like persistent jailbreaks. We have way too many global admins. We have abusive tool execution, lots of abusive tool execution. We're able to go ahead and dive deeper into each of these while being able to see the severity, if anybody was indeed investigating it, have they actually taken action on it or not, as well as what were the impacted assets. I'm going to show you guys one that I have pre-recorded for sake of the demo. And you can see here, if I pause it, I have these tiles set up much more clearly into what my scenarios are. So I want to see the security score, I want to see who's at risk, and I want to see the active number of incidences right off the bat. We have a lot of information. Defender will really give you a wall of detail if you need it. When you go ahead and look further into some instances, what we created right here for the sake of education is our very classic, where is it? Impossible travel activity incident, right? Here we are. So in this scenario, somebody went and tried to interact with our agent from 2 different countries with so with Defender, we're able to go ahead and dive deeper into this and do a number of things. Number one, we get details on what actually happened. And the details are actually pretty good logs. If I look down here, you guys can see that there's a lot of specific activities into what happened. And all of this can get stored into a Sentinel data lake for long-term retention if you need to go ahead and perform some more fancy audits and compliance checks after this happened or investigate any further. The other thing that we can go ahead and do is assign an alert for this to make sure that we're aware of anything future similar like this happening, as well as block this one further. So one thing I can do is manage an alert, can assign it to myself, or I can assign it to Mihaela, our best friend in product, and classify what the actual issue is. But we can actually go more expert mode than that. And for folks who are aware, Defender actually has this capability as well called advanced hunting. So this is going to allow us to actually go further and expertly search for threats with up to 30 days of retention using what we call KQL or Kusto query language, right? So for this one, we can actually search by specific event types, like invoking the agent or executing a tool by a specific MCP server. The results here are going to be super duper granular, which is going to help us with critical information like the application ID and the timestamps and the information that we really need to perform a thorough investigation of any risk that has happened. And we can take all this information now and actually go ahead and create a detection rule to alert us of similar potential threats in the future. Cool. So with Defender, we have continuous monitoring powered by Agent 365 observability. I want you guys all to remember that this agent could have been a third-party agent, which is really awesome. We leveraged that SDK and brought them into our ecosystem. So now that agent could indeed get protected the same way our first-party agents do. So from detection to response prevention, your agents with Defender are going to be protected along each step of the way. But now this brings us into Entra, because remember, security is indeed a layered approach, right? So one of the key portions of Microsoft Entra is we're going to be able to bring identity and access governance to all of our agents using the same tools that we already have to manage our users. The agent registry is going to consolidate all of the agents into a single view, and then using the same tools, we're able to govern end-to-end the agent lifecycle and protect agents by enforcing access policies based off of the risk or the context while ensuring least privilege access. How, you say? Well, as employees, we have what we call a user ID assigned to each of us. And now with Agent 365, we're going to be assigning what we call agent IDs to each of our agents. With that, we have a world of possibility open from an identity ALM perspective, where now we're going to be able to start instilling policies and all types of other things upon our agents, just like we're able to do with our humans. So for sake of security as a layered approach, we can go ahead and travel activity example and think about how we can further secure it, this time from an identity and management perspective. So let's see, click. So in Entra, we're going to again get a high-level overview of the tenant's security status with account information details and up-to-date documentation, all of things Entra that are going to help us secure our tenant from an access management perspective. The next thing that we can do is examine the user activity in the tenant, high privilege user activity, monitor sign-in behaviors, all types of information like that. We also have these smart recommendations as well, so that we are able to be proactive in improving the security posture of the tenants by implementing things like conditional access policies, and we're going to show one of these later. And before that, we can specifically look at all of the agentic identities in the tenant, starting with a summarized view of our agent fleet based on various criteria like creation trends and usage metrics, and we can also see our blueprints as well. And in the list of agent identities, we can see the same comms agent that had that Defender Impossible Travel Activity incident. Here, when we click deeper, we can see things like the agent ID itself, as well as the agent owner and the Entra sponsor. And we can manage things, the agent lifecycle, be able to assign a new owner, see permissions and roles, all types of stuff like that. We can complete our plan for having a layered approach to a security and protect our access to our comms agent by using a conditional access policy, which is the same thing that we use to protect our user access every day now. So conditional access policies work like an if-then statement. So if certain conditions are met, then apply XYZ controls. So here we're able to enforce location-based access controls for agents. So we can create a policy to prevent the attack that we saw, and we can actually go ahead and say, hey, I don't want users to be able to interact with my agent within XYZ IP range. So unless they're within this IP range, the IP range of our office, they can't interact with my agent. Now that agents have identities, we can actually go ahead and also do the converse of that as well and say, I don't want my agents to be able to interact with other users or agents unless my agent is residing within XYZ IP range as well. So again, even with the Defender stuff, we're able to have a strong authentication policy. So even if it is bypassed by an organizational boundary or bypassed by other threat detection means, we're still protected at multiple layers of the stack. So with conditional access for agents, we're able to protect our agent identities based off a number of different factors. And it's just one of the capabilities that Entra Identity Management is going to be able to help us to manage our agent identities with. So now we're able to go ahead and manage our agent identities just like we manage our humans, which is just going to make our admin's life easier despite the incoming risk with adopting AI. That brings me to about the end of my planned content, but just to make sure that we recap, we have so many critical layers across Agent 365 in so many different places, but it's meant to meet our admins where they already are. Observability in Mac, governance for data protection and purview, threat detection in Defender, and Entra for identity and access management. The breakthrough is that it's really all integrated for all agent activities, logged once, and then it's going to go ahead and power security to each of the admin products. So policies set in Mac are going to be enforced everywhere. Incidences detected in Defender are going to connect to identities at Entra, and policies made in Purview are going to be enforced across all of our agents, which is all super awesome. Agent 365 is turning Microsoft governance and security stack into a unified control plane for all AI agents. Complete protection, same familiar tools, and one platform for all of your agents. Thank you.
Thank you so much,
Amazing.
Jocelyn.
Wow.
We do have a couple questions in the Q&A that we'll
Awesome.
save for the end here. So first from Chris Young, we're talking about agents. Are all of them automatically compatible with Agent 365, or are there certain design or config requirements so they can be registered and monitored, etc.?
So in order to, oh, I also see there's comments. Okay, so in order to ensure that your agent is part of Agent 365, let's go scenario by scenario. Number one, moving forward, first-party agents are going to automatically be part of Agent 365. Number two, there are certain companies that we are working with where we are trying to embed Agent 365 at their platform level so that they are automatically going to be part of our ecosystem. And that's part of the companies that you saw on that agent showcase page. I think I saw a comment somewhere that said something like, what's the certification process for that? Or something like that. In a previous job, I don't remember, Liz, if it was in your list of resume things that you called out for me, but I actually used to be the PM for the Power Platform Connector ecosystem. I was in tenure when we hit 1,000 connectors. So, of course, we had a certification program for that. The agent ecosystem team is the evolution of the Power Platform Connector ecosystem team. So they are working deeply with business development teams to ensure these ISV relationships and partnerships. And of course, they're adequately stress testing everything in order to go public with each of these partnerships. That was two questions in one. Oh, and then the third part is if it doesn't meet any of those requirements, that is when you have your developers leverage the SDK. Then they're able to go ahead and customizably hook up these agents. And once the SDK is hooked up, then they're able to get all of that telemetry to your admins, and they can also take advantage of the CLI and turn it into a blueprint.
Okay, so just to summarize, because there's a lot of good information there. Yeah. So first-party agents automatically, some third-party agents we're working to make sure that that's also automatic. But if they do not fall in those two buckets, then there are some steps you have to take to get them to surface on a Agent 365.
Yes,
okay.
And that is the SDK.
The SDK. Okay, to get them connected. Okay, all right. And then Chris also had a second follow-up question. So let me read through that one. So here, what happens when an agent uses a language model providers that are external to A365 or Azure? Yeah, so what happens? Like, how do you a little bit more on like how does that work if it's a different LLM that is not within the Azure or the Microsoft ecosystem?
We don't care. Like we are monitoring agents, we're not monitoring the ALM. We actually in a lot of our software like Copilot Studio, we're very like different LLM friendly. Like we're very open to models. Like as a company, we're not like a model company. It's very part of our like core like build how you want to build kind of mentality. We log and monitor the agents. We don't care about the model.
Right, because the model is just one element of the blueprint that gets pulled in. Right?
Yep.
That's not standalone. Yep. Okay. Great.
And it's not like the activities that we're logging are going to change based off the model that you're using either. Like that's just the rationale over it. But the API calls and each of the actions taken, the MCPs that you're leveraging to do all of that, the people you're talking to, none of that changes based off of how you're reasoning over it.
Yeah, that's great. Okay. We're going to give everybody like one more chance to pop in their questions either in the Q&A or in the chat. If not, I guess the only other one, so just to clarify, so Rita was asking for certification, like a Microsoft certification for Agent 365. So she wants to get certified and show off credentials. Do we know if there's any of that coming and maybe a timeline?
I wouldn't be surprised if it is, but I don't know when. But we should. I want one.
Okay. All right, great. Well, I don't see any other questions in the Q&A or the chat, so I'm going to pass it over to Randall to wrap us up.
All right. Thank you, Jocelyn. Thank you, Liz. Great presentation. Love it. I'm going to rewind. I'm going to rewatch, and I'm going to rewatch, and I'm going to rewatch. I'll tell you that. There's a lot of great information in there. I just want to close out. Thank you all for attending Power Hug in March. For April, we have another great event. Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, otherwise known as CHOP, the Research Recruitment Enhancement Core Team, or REC team, is leveraging Power Platform to automate their resource-intensive task of distributing approximately 1 million clinical study recruitment emails each year and tracking those key engagement metrics using Power Platform. So they're going to be here sharing their story along that journey and how they use Power Platform to kind of streamline that and make their processes more efficient. And they're going to actually be presenting with Latitude, a partner that helped them engage and roll out that solution. So Again, fourth Thursday of every month, April 23rd at 12 p.m. Central. Feel free to follow Scott, myself, Liz, or Tracy on LinkedIn, as well as join the LinkedIn group if you want to hear and see more events. Today's event will be, or it has been recorded, and we will be posting it up on our YouTube channel as well. All past events for the last 2 years are actually out there, so feel free to visit the channel and catch up on all the recordings you might have missed. And with that, we'll close out for the day and have a great weekend, everyone. Thank you.